Everyone believed Alina Khan had everything: wealth that glittered louder than the crystal ornaments she hung on her 20-foot Christmas tree, a mansion that people whispered about like a fairy tale palace, and a life wrapped in luxury ribbons. She had friends who adored her, a fiancé who praised her like she was made of stardust, and a social presence carefully crafted to look effortless and magical. Every Christmas, Alina hosted a celebration so extravagant that even the richest families in the city felt small in comparison. Chefs were flown in, musicians rehearsed for weeks, and decorators spent entire nights turning her home into something out of a winter fantasy. People joked that Santa himself would need a VIP invitation to step inside. But this Christmas night, as chandeliers sparkled over marble floors and guests danced under artificial snowflakes, one person wasn't smiling. Yusuf. To everyone else, he was just part of the crowd, a quiet man in a simple suit who stood near the grand staircase holding a glass he hadn't touched. But to Alina, he was something more, her childhood friend, her secret keeper, the one who had known her before the world labeled her exceptional. He had seen her climb, stumble, try again. He knew the little girl who used to run barefoot through muddy alleys, who shared mango slices with the neighborhood kids, who cried when stray cats went hungry. That was the Alina he loved like family. But tonight, she looked like someone else. Her crimson gown shimmered under the lights, diamonds catching every camera's flash as she moved through the crowd with rehearsed grace. She laughed at compliments, posed with influencers, and carried conversations with polished ease. Perfect. Untouchable. And, in a way he had never felt before, impossibly far from him. He told himself he was imagining it. That Christmas made people dramatic. That Alina was simply busy hosting the biggest night of the year. But a small ache tugged at him with every passing minute. He hadn't come for the party. He rarely enjoyed these social displays. He came only because she asked him with that old warmth in her voice, "Yusuf, it won't be Christmas without you." He wanted to believe that. He wanted to believe she still meant it. But as the music grew louder, and the laughter echoed like crystal bells, Yusuf found it harder to pretend. The mansion felt bigger tonight, colder somehow. He felt like an outsider in a place where he once knew every corner, where he used to sneak cookies with Alina in the middle of the night, where they helped decorate the small tree Maria the maid set up in the kitchen. Back then, it hadn't mattered who had what. Back then, all that mattered was kindness. When the clock neared 11 p.m., the Christmas festivities reached their peak. The ballroom buzzed with energy. Guests danced, cameras flashed, and waiters rushed with trays of sparkling drinks. The staff had been working non-stop since morning, preparing dishes, setting tables, arranging desserts. The air felt too heavy for him. He slipped away from the noise, stepping into a quiet back corridor near the kitchen. The contrast hit him immediately: no music, no laughter, just the distant clatter of dishes and the hum of ovens. He leaned against the wall and exhaled, finally able to hear his own thoughts. That's when he saw her. Maria. The maid who had practically raised Alina. The woman who used to braid Alina's hair, sew missing buttons on Yusuf's school shirt, slip them both extra parathas when they were small. Maria had always been gentle, always smiling, even when life gave her little to smile about. Tonight, she sat alone on a small wooden stool behind the kitchen door. Her shoulders slumped, her apron dusted with flour, her hair tied back in a messy bun from exhaustion. In her hands was a steel plate. A plate of leftovers. Cold leftovers. Rice scraped from the edge of a pot. A piece of chicken discarded from a tray. A watery spoonful of vegetables the guests hadn't touched. She was eating quietly, almost apologetically, as if she feared someone might scold her for taking even that. Yusuf froze. "You haven't eaten?" he asked softly. Maria startled, nearly dropping her spoon. "Oh, Yusuf Beta, you scared me." She smiled quickly, as if to reassure him. "Don't worry. I'm eating now." "This is your first meal today?" he asked, noticing how hungrily she took her next bite. She hesitated, then nodded. "We only eat after the guests. It's the rule." His chest tightened. "The rule?" he repeated, almost unable to believe it. Maria lowered her eyes. "It's how things are now. Staff must stay out of sight until dinner is over." The lady of the house wants everything. Professional. Professional. He knew exactly whose rule that was. Inside the main kitchen, massive trays sat untouched, golden brown turkey, sizzling roast, desserts that sparkled under tiny edible lights. Pastries, chocolates, dishes prepared by world-class chefs. Food so rich it could feed a family for a week. And yet Maria, who had spent the entire day cooking, cleaning, organizing, and worrying, sat alone eating cold scraps. Yusuf's stomach twisted. He glanced back toward the ballroom, where Alina's laughter drifted through the corridor like bells. This wasn't the girl he grew up with. This wasn't the girl who shared her plate with stray cats. This wasn't the girl who cried when Maria once fell sick and insisted on making her soup herself. This doesn't feel right, Yusuf whispered. Maria waved a dismissive hand, still trying to protect the girl she helped raise. It's not her fault. These parties, these people, things change. But Yusuf wasn't convinced. Because the truth wasn't just about the leftovers. It was about what they meant. They meant Alina had become someone who didn't see the people who cared for her. Someone who forgot where she came from. Someone who let glitter blind her to human warmth. And Yusuf, standing in that narrow corridor with the distant sound of celebration behind him and Maria's quiet chewing in front of him, felt a crack inside his chest. A small, painful crack that widened with every passing second. He realized something he never expected to feel on this night, of all nights. Heartbreak. Not the romantic kind. But the heartbreak of watching someone you cherish turn into a stranger. Heartbreak at seeing kindness replaced by coldness. Heartbreak at realizing that the person who once had nothing but a big heart now had everything except the thing that mattered most. And for the first time in years, Yusuf wondered whether he had already lost her. Long before tonight.